Hello there. This episode of Ross and Wizzy's Fanfiction Power Hour may contain discussions of sexual things and violence. Please be advised.
Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the Ross Pitt Fanfiction Power Hour. I'm your host, Ross Pitt, and with me today is Wizzy.
Wizzy the Handsome, Wizzy the Wonderful. I got many
Wizzy the
names
Hamster.
like that. For short, you can just call me Wizzy Bo Busy, Banana Fana Faux Fizzy, Fee-Fi Momizzy. Wizzy.
Exactly. And that's exactly why I'm sick of his crap. So I'm taking him through a tour of the magical land of My Little Pony fanfiction.
Yeah.
Today, we have the fanfiction Princess Celestia Gets Mugged by Brony Ryder.
Okay, so this one is the long-anticipated one for me. This one is the one that we've been discussing for a few days now.
He's waited a whole 3 days to do this one.
I feel bad for having laughed at it with that title, but it just sounds so ridiculous to me. No offense to the creator, but mixing My Little Pony character with Gets Mugged just sounds very, violent for My Little Pony.
Violent for My Little Pony in a fan fiction. Ha. We'll see.
I hope it makes me cry.
Trust me, I've got some fan fictions that you would definitely want to read if that's what gets your goat.
Yeah!
Cupcakes coming soon. All right, so which one of us is going to narrate?
I can narrate this one.
All right. I'll be Celestia. But we're starting out with someone who isn't either, I think. Yeah.
I can do that one then.
All right, I guess you're going to do that one. That's fine.
And so, Your Highness, that is why we must spend the tax surplus on the new Canterlot hoofball fields. It would draw in additional revenue and increase our city's splendor 20-fold.
Princess Celestia sat on her throne during another round of the day court, listening to stuffy nobles arguing once more about who should get what money and what they should do with it. At the moment, the delegate from the noble striker house in Canterlot was asking her for money to renovate the hoofball fields, despite the fact that the stadium was less than 5 years old already. You will never have to scrub a toilet. You will never have to scrub a toilet again if you try the new toilet cleaner.
See, that is an ad that I have right here in the middle of it, with a picture of a dirty toilet.
The rival Shores family from Manhattan wasn't exactly happy about that.
I think that one's still you.
I think that's the other delegate arguing with the first one, isn't it?
Oh, maybe. If you use that money for the hoofball stadium, where will we get the funds to throw this year's garden parties and galas? You're right, it was.
The Shore family representative retorted.
The stadium is already the finest in the land. We need to impress dignitaries with our social gathering.
Celestia opened her mouth to respond, but was cut off by a snort from the striker representative.
You hardly need the amount we're talking about to throw your parties. This is one of the most important things that this money could possibly be used for.
The Shore's representative let out his own little humorless, condescending chuckle.
Of course you may think that. If you're stupid.
Celestia's eyes widened at the insult, and she stood up from her throne with her wings flared.
There is no need for such talk in my...
To her surprise, the nobles actually ignored her. They kept on arguing like schoolfools to the point where Celestia was pretty sure that it was going to come to blows. The two of them were in each other's faces and practically screaming at the top of their lungs. Celestia growled and resisted the urge to use the royal Canterlot voice for the first time since being startled by a prank that Luna had pulled last week.
If your family wasn't so ridiculous, then maybe you'd actually see what the real issues of today are.
The shore's representative harumphed and stuck his nose in the air.
Harumph. I pity those who are actually so blind that they think that hoofball stadiums are an issue that needs to be addressed.
The representative for the Stryker family flared his nostrils and took an aggressive step forward.
Oh, yeah? Well, why don't you just go take a long walk off of a short pier?
That was it. That was crossing the line for her. One of Celestia's main rules in her courtroom was that the arguing parties had to treat each other with respect and dignity, not argue like foals. Of course, if they were going to act like foals, then they were going to be treated as such. Celestia fired up her horn. What?
She spanks him on the bottom.
Is that how you treat your children?
Gives them a timeout.
Celestia fired up her horn, and her magic glow instantly encased itself around one of the ears of both representatives. She began dragging them out of the courtroom by said appendage.
If you cannot behave like nobility, then you will be treated like children.
She snapped, sparing no scrap of authority in her voice. She dragged the whimpering nobles toward the door and tossed them out of her courtroom right in front of the waiting line of ponies that had come to see her next.
Next time the two of you come to the castle for a banquet, neither of you shall receive dessert. Really got him there, princess.
Basically, one of them said KYS to the other.
Ooh, yeah.
In a heated gaming moment.
It was intense, man.
The entire crowd of ponies waiting gasped, and the two representatives looked at her in utter shock. Given the princess's fondness for cake, a rescinding of dessert was no light matter. Every pony present knew it. Celestia sighed and turned to the waiting line of ponies.
The Solar Court will reconvene in 1 hour.
With that, Celestia walked back into the throne room and gently closed the door behind her. Once she was certain that she was alone, she sat down on her haunches in the middle of the throne room and began rubbing her temples. In truth, those two were just the latest in a long string of bickering nobles demanding her resources for some egotistical project while mocking the lower-class ponies who requested necessities. Their grating, snobbish voices would have given her a headache if alicorns weren't immune to such things. Still, she could massage away her metaphorical one as long as she liked. With a sigh, she stood up and trotted out of the throne room, a tad unsure of what to do with her hour now that she thought on it. The petitioners were certainly just stand in line for the hour, so there was no real need to worry about them. They would still be there when she came back. That almost irked the sun goddess. Sun goddess? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
She is powerful.
No,
How's she
she's
going to
not
get
really.
mugged? Wait, sun goddess and she's not powerful?
It's a whole thing. Like, fandom calls her a goddess. Personally, that's not my personal headcanon of Celestia.
Yeah, I feel like if there was a goddess, it would have to be Rarity.
Well, that's true, I guess. I mean, there's a whole nother thing that we could get into. I guess I won't get into it now for the sake of the podcast.
For the sake of brevity.
You guys having fun out there? Hope you are.
She wished that she could just have one day off. One day where she went and did whatever the feather she wanted to. Ooh, bring out the
Wait, did I accidentally send us sunny skies all day long?
I don't think so. This one said Princess Celestia gets mugged.
No, yeah, that's a joke. That was just a joke. Sunny skies all day long had a similar premise.
One day where she went and did whatever the feather she wanted to. Consequences be damned! She had not had such a day since she was a filly. Even the visits to Twilight and the other elements were always filled with pomp and circumstance. Hey, I like that song. Not to mention a great deal of stress from her student, which meant that she could never truly relax. Celestia shook her head sadly as she pushed her way into the royal kitchens. Some cake would help her out for sure. Ah, I see her sighing. It always did. She smiled when she saw kneaded dough. Oh my god, his name is Kneaded Dough.
It's a thing.
Oh,
Deal with it.
I love it.
Good.
Her head.
I wish my name were that, if I'm being honest.
I can change
means-
it for you.
Please do.
All you have to do
Call
is
me-
sign this contract.
Right away. Just call me Kneaded Dough for the rest of this podcast.
Her head pastry chef, hard at work rolling out the dough necessary for some pie to be served at an upcoming dinner party. That, as usual, she would prefer not to attend. Why? Kneaded Dough looked up from his pie crust when Celestia walked in, flashed her a smile, and tilted his head as a sort of bow.
Good afternoon, Princess. What brings you down from the Solar Court?
Irritation.
Celestia sighed and looked at the floor.
You know how those stuffy nobles can be. I postponed the court for an hour to give myself some time to relax before I needed to go face the Timberwolves again. They can be occasionally difficult.
Occasionally.
Kneaded Dough snorted.
Princess Celestia, if I may be so blunt, they only serve themselves and not the ponies. Every moment awake goes to improving their wonderfully privileged lives.
Are you shaking your head and shaking your cheeks while doing this?
Yep,
Nice.
of course I am. I have often had similar thoughts,
Celestia tilted her head in a sort of shrug.
though not all of them are bad.
True,
Kneaded Dough clicked his tongue and grabbed a rolling pin.
but philanthropists like Fancy Pants are few and far between.
So if he was going to make some bread, would you say that he needed dough?
Yes,
But
The pastry chef shook his head.
It's the common folk who make Equestria great, not the nobility. Not the nobility.
So would you say if he was running a charity, that would mean that he needed dough?
I don't get it.
Come on, he would need dough, like money.
I actually did get it. I just wanted to make you feel less.
That sounds like you.
Celestia couldn't have missed the sarcasm in that last word if she tried, but she was rather inclined to agree nonetheless. Still, she had come down here to get away from that. She did not want to discuss it more.
Am I correct in assuming that you have some cake that I could partake in? I think it would serve me well.
Her heart sank as Kneaded Dough grimaced and shook his head.
I'm afraid not, Princess. Your sister took the last of it not 10 minutes ago.
Oh, it's such a tragedy.
But she doesn't know what's coming for her. Celestia raised her eyebrow and cocked her head.
Luna is awake? I do not know.
I'm not totally sure why either.
Kneaded Dough shrugged and began sprinkling flour on the counter.
It's not my place to question what she does.
Celestia nodded and turned her head towards the servants' exit of the kitchen.
Good job.
It was
Shut up, Roz.
was the most direct route to the dining room from where she was.
The joke is that you told me to shut up.
Fine, I guess I'm doing the rest of the voices.
I suppose neither of us should, but it would be fitting if I conversed with her. She must have a reason to be up and about.
Celestia said her goodbyes to Kneaded Dough and exited through the servants' exit.
Why?
Oh, she exited through the servant's exit. Does that make her a servant?
No.
In a few short moments, she found herself opening the door to the dining hall, where she saw her sister sitting at the table and her back to her.
Wait, is this Luna? Alright, I can do Luna.
I think so.
Ah, have you arrived to replenish my supply of cider?
Luna ignited her horn and levitated her goblet.
My cup is not yet drained, but you may do so if you wish to.
Ah, yes. Luna, classically voiced by Rumpelstiltskin from Once Upon a Time.
I wish.
Celestia silently giggled at her sister's ignorance of whom she addressed. She walked right.
I told you going through the servant's exit would draw some confusion.
I guess that makes sense.
She walked right behind her and leaned in next to her ear.
It would benefit you to look before you speak, Lulu.
Oh, I know exactly who I'm speaking to. I'm just being sassy.
Luna jumped out of her chair so fast that she almost hit the ceiling. She stumbled around as she tried to disconnect herself from the fallen chair, something that triggered laughter from her sister.
Tia! Tia.
That's Celestia.
Okay. Tia, I was unaware that you used the servant's entrance to this hall.
Celestia smirked and used her magic to right the chair that Luna had fallen out of.
It was the quickest way here once I heard from Kneaded Dough that you were awake and eating cake.
Celestia's smile faded when she spotted a half-eaten slice of vanilla raspberry cake on the table.
You bitch.
I wish that's what it said.
May I ask why?
You can really feel the tension.
Fuck you.
Is this who's gonna mug Celestia?
Luna shrugged as the two sisters took seats at the table.
It is something that I've wished for a while, sister. I have not truly had a day where I see what is going on during such times. I really messed that up.
Luna picked up her fork and motioned to one of the castle windows.
I thought that I might explore Canterlot to see the goings-on of our subjects. I thought to maybe even visit Twilight Sparkle and her friends in Ponyville for a casual visit.
If you do, I wish you luck on making the visit as casual as you hope.
Celestia sighed as she remembered her last casual visit to Ponyville.
It pains me that a surprise visit is the best way to achieve such an endeavor.
Luna snorted and took a bite of cake, and it flew everywhere as she snorted it out of her mouth.
That's what it sounds like.
Yes, I have heard that they prefer to make a spectacle of all your visits. I assume that you do not waste your breath trying to halt their efforts.
It would only confuse them.
Celestia grumbled. She rested her forelegs on the table and laid her head on them.
I envy you and your trip, sister. The day court has been particularly taxing today.
Luna cocked her head and pushed away the empty plate in front of her. She reached out and gently touched her sister's shoulder.
Well then, it would please me if you took a day off in my stead. I can handle matters in the day court for one day. It would be good experience for me in my own court, would it not?
Celestia raised her head and she... Wait, hold on. Who is Luna like the queen of?
Queen.
Princess, whatever.
She's the princess of the night.
Oh, so she just like...
Helps
she just,
ponies in their dreams and stuff.
Oh. I thought it was like, Celestia has Ponyville and she has some other place in Canterlot.
Nah, fam, nah.
They both just own Canterlot as a whole.
They own Equestria as a whole.
Man, there's so much going on.
It's deep, deep lore, man.
I'm learning about My Little Pony.
I'm so happy.
Celestia raised her head and she elevated an eyebrow.
I'm not sure I could ask you to do that. You woke up to have a day off. Far be it from me to take that from you.
Nonsense, Tia,
Luna replied with a wave of her hoof.
It would do you well, and make me glad if you found the time to relax for a change. Equestria shall not fall should you choose to take a personal day.
A smirk crossed Luna's face.
If you were a member of a corporation, you would have saved up well over 3,000 of them. Given the span of your service to Equestria, I used up all of mine on the moon. Oh, so she owns the moon as well.
Celestia sat up and began to shake her head.
Lulu, I can't ask.
If you are unwilling to take a personal day, I can always make sure that there is a woeful cake to visit whenever you require some.
No.
Oh, jeez. She's trying to take away her cake. What a monster.
I
I
hate that
thought that
stupid
Discord
meme.
was bad. What?
I hate that stupid meme of Celestia liking cake. We talked about it in
Yeah.
the first episode.
Yeah, I have no clue what's going on. Do you say like she ate cake once and then they decided to say that cake was her thing?
Yeah, there was a whole thing involving Celestia and cake
I love it.
as a one-off gag for an episode, and then it was like, bam, Celestia likes cake. News on Equestria Daily. Not as bad as Twilight Cane, but
I have no clue what that is.
it's a whole thing. I'll tell you later, maybe.
I have a habit of just like and when I'm not a fan of a show and there's something that the fans really hate, I have a habit of enjoying whatever it is they hate. Like Jar Jar Binks and Star Wars, I love him.
I see. You heard it here first, folks. Kneaded dough does not like Star Wars. Attack him, please.
Misa will continue for one day without you. I don't know what that was.
Good lord.
Luna crossed her forelegs.
Life will continue for one day without you. Go enjoy yourself, Tia.
Did you see into
The
the future?
If you could gaze into the future.
You can turn back time.
For the first time that day, a genuine smile crossed Celestia's face.
Da 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 da. You're an idiot.
Oh my god, call me that one more time and you're doing that. No, I don't want to be the narrator.
Well, if you insist, I would like that very much.
Luna returned Celestia's smile and patted her on the shoulder.
Then enjoy the day that you have brought about, sister. You have earned it.
They're horses. They don't have shoulders.
What? Of course horses have shoulders. Come
Do
on.
they? I don't know.
Yeah, they got those big blades right behind their neck.
I don't know. I don't consider those shoulders, I guess.
I mean, those are shoulder blades, so... Whatever.
But also, you don't see those in the show, so just saying.
Oh, good point. I don't know, I guess My Little Ponies don't have shoulders. Maybe.
My Little Ponies.
Live action My Little Pony where they're played by actual horses.
That would be fun.
It would be amazing to me.
Being the princess of the sun and the sole monarch of Equestria for 1,000 years.
Wait, I thought you said they both ruled over friggin' Equestria.
Well, funny
dogs
thing
barking.
about that. You see, Luna became Nightmare Moon. Now, Nightmare Moon was basically an evil version of Luna, right? But Luna chose to become Nightmare Moon because she was, a bitch.
Ooh, take that, Luna.
So Celestia had to banish her to the moon for 1,000 years, right? So Celestia had complete control over the sun and moon for those thousands of years, and Equestria, of course.
Oh, jeez. This totally reminds me of Thor and Loki.
Being the princess of the sun and the sole monarch of Equestria for 1,000 years, Celestia had a very specific image that she upheld when in the public eye. It did her little ponies good. It did her ponies little good? No,
Did
it
her little ponies good.
Okay.
They're little
And
ponies.
gave them... Yeah, I
Yes,
guess
we know.
My Little Ponies. That means it's like Celestia saying, My Little Ponies.
Yeah, she says that like 5 times in the series, man.
Oh my god, I would hate that.
It's cute each time. I love it.
And gave them courage when they saw her as a regal, unshakable rock that could protect them from anything. She was seen as everlasting just by her aura. It would have confused her ponies to see her giddily bouncing around her room like a school filly on her first day of school while throwing a few items into a rarely used saddlebag. Saddlebag, because they're horses.
Yeah.
Having said all of that, the princess's smile would likely have been infectious to any who saw it, no matter what their mood. It was rare that Celestia exhibited childlike glee, but she found it relaxing and refreshing once in a while. She rued that she could not have days like this more often, but Equestria came first. Still, if Luna was willing to grant her this opportunity, who was she to refuse her?
Okay, but I really wouldn't trust Luna, deciding big things for you. Give that job to Twilight. I would trust her a lot more, even if she's not good at it. At least she's not Luna.
It was just a little 1,000-year spat they had. It's nothing.
Celestia finished packing her saddlebag with her exceptionally well-supplied coin purse and used her magic to secure the final strap on her back. Excellent. The supplies were ready. Now for the disguise. She couldn't very well go out looking like herself. She'd never get a peaceful moment. She'd be like Iggy walking round in public.
You're supposed to laugh.
I did a little like from my nose, little nose chuckle.
Nice. Once more, Celestia fired up her horn, and a wave of pure magical energy washed over her. Her pure white coat dulled ever so slightly, that it had a grayer tinge to it, as opposed to the nearly blinding white she was known for. Her tall, imposing body shrunk to the point where she was barely taller than her student.
Is her student, Twilight?
Yep.
Yes, I know things.
Good job, man.
As the glow passed over her cutie mark, it faded away to be replaced by a less ornate version. The most startling change, however, was her mane. Germaine.
Your main.
Instead of the flowing technicolor waves, it seemed to recede back into her head. The color became more solid as it did, leaving her with shoulder-length pink hair.
Hey, this is Sunny Skies All Day Long.
Oh my god. It's
Like,
sunny skies
seriously,
all day long, but she's gonna get mugged in this form, oh god.
Just look at the freaking poster for that fanfic. We're gonna be reading that someday soon.
Yeah.
Just want you all to know.
Yeah, this My Little Pony, where things on the street get tough.
Princess Celestia smiled and turned to a nearby mirror. The disguise was perfect, as usual. She had not had the chance to use it in over 50 years, which meant that no pony who saw her would recognize it.
What
She
did you
giggled
do
to
50
herself.
years ago.
Good point. What did she do?
Wow,
Wait.
this is a while back, man.
Is Celestia immortal?
Yeah, well, we don't really know. She at least lives for a very long time.
She should get with friggin' Discord then.
I
Not that I
agree.
want that, but... Celestia X Discord is...
See that
Celestia
last
X
fanfic that
Discord.
we read to get that.
What was that?
I said I was just telling our audience to see the last fan fiction we read to understand that.
Oh.
Princess Celestia smiled and turned to a nearby mirror.
Wait. Oh, I already read that part.
Yes, you did. Good job.
She giggled to herself, and with one more burst of magic, her horn seemed to fade away until the pony that she was once the Princess of the Sun was nothing more than a slightly tall Pegasus pony. She took a deep breath and nodded.
Pegasus.
This would be a wonderful day.
Master
love-
Race.
Oh my god.
And people who like unicorns say that all the time, so fuck them.
Yeah. I see a lot of friggin' unicorn prejudice in these fanfics.
Understandably so. They're awesome.
Is that understand? Wait, I thought you just said friggin' Pegasus Master Race.
Oh, well, they are. But, you know, unicorns are cool, too.
If you say so.
But also there's a whole thing in the show with some stuff, and I just listened to a podcast that mentioned how My Little Pony fanfictions have a tendency to make unicorns like all uppity racist assholes.
They definitely seem like it from their... Oh, I'm a rarity. I'm super awesome because I'm a unicorn. Did I mention
that's
that's
not
because I'm a
rarity
unicorn
thoughts.
and not just because I'm fabulous and amazing, but only because I'm a unicorn?
Yeah, that's yeah, like that.
Hi, I'm Twilight.
Hi,
I'm a
Twilight.
unicorn, so I know better than all of the other main six.
Do you now?
This is just what I've seen in the fan fictions. I don't know what their characters are actually like.
Next thing.
Princess Celestia trotted out of her castle. She let the warm feeling wash over her, warming her body in a way that it usually didn't when she was in her normal form. With a flutter of her wings, she left the castle behind her, entering the city proper. However, she came across a singular problem. She didn't know what to do with her day, as she had considered before. Twilight and Ponyville in general seemed out of the question. She didn't want to waste her day by spending most of it traveling. No.
Hear that? Sunny skies all the day long.
Ooh. Is that what they do in that one?
I don't know. I just know that Applejack's in the poster. So I assume she goes to Ponyville.
No, she would have stayed in Canterlot if she was to maximize her free time.
As she thought on it more... Wait, is Canterlot not like the country with Ponyville inside of it? Is it just like two separate cities?
No, yeah, Canterlot's a city. Equestria is the country.
Okay, I thought that was like the continent.
No, fam.
All right, I'm getting this now.
I suppose it's also the continent, probably. It's weird.
So is Canterlot like California, while Ponyville is more like Alabama?
Something like that, I guess.
As she thought on it more, she realized that she had not been to Donut Joe's in nearly a year.
Donut Joe.
Yep.
Okay.
That
One of my
stallion
favorite
made
ponies.
the best darned crullers she had ever had the pleasure of tasting. And she had the pleasure of tasting more than just his crullers.
Celestia X Donut Joe.
Even the best pastry chefs in her castle hadn't quite gotten the recipe right. As such, she was only able to have the pastry once in a great while.
She could just like friggin' order them to her castle or something, whatever.
Now that she was free to do as she wished for the day, that was the best place to start.
Poison, Wizzy. Poison.
What? Poison?
Poison. Yeah, you
Why-
could poison them.
Okay, why would that affect her, first of all? And why wouldn't he poison them at the friggin' shop then, when she goes there? Oh, I guess because he couldn't recognize her, whatever.
Yeah. And also, we wouldn't know that she wouldn't get poisoned or that it wouldn't affect her.
I don't know, I just thought if she's immune to headaches, what else should she immune to?
I mean, she's not immune to a lot of things given the show.
She's not immune to...
Being mugged!
Given the show.
I'm pretty sure that this is named after an actual episode of the show called Princess Celestia Gets Mugged.
It's
The
not.
lost
but-
episode.
Anyways, continue.
With a new spring in her step, Celestia bounced in the direction of the donut shop. Visions of crullers danced in her royal brain, and her mouth watered at the thought of the tasty delights yet to come. As she walked towards the donut shop, she noticed there was a pony who seemed rather out of place walking behind her. Oh no! In a contrast to the rather fine clothing that the Canterlot elite wore, this pony was wearing what seemed to be tattered rags thrown together.
Oh, come on, this is just like freaking stereotypes of muggers.
Why isn't he just naked? They're naked
good
all the
point.
time in the show.
I guess he wants to hide his body so they can't track him down or whatever.
I guess.
He needs to hide his cutie mark. I bet he doesn't even get one, though, because he's a friggin' lowlife.
Ooh.
This pony had clearly fallen on hard times and seemed as if he had not eaten in quite a while. He looked pathetic enough that Celestia briefly considered buying this pony something from the donut shop, just as a kindness to him.
Nah.
As she walked, the pony quickened his trot, and once he was close enough, he called out to her in a voice that was as weak as his looks would indicate.
Do you want to do this, or should I?
You have been saying a lot of words recently. But
Alright,
this
you
is
can
like
do
the
this.
crux of the story. I think a good banter would help.
All right.
Please, good madam, I need your help.
I should have done it. I knew I should have done it.
Should have taken the chance. Celestia turned around, and eyes widened at the pony's voice. Clearly he had fallen on harder times than she expected at her first glance.
Of course, I will help in any way that I can.
Even her voice was changed, but we didn't mention that in the text, apparently. The pony's shoulders visibly relaxed, and he exhaled deeply.
Oh, thank you for your kindness. My daughter was in an accident a few blocks away from here. She was playing with my son and she tripped on a pothole. I think she broke her leg.
Oh, we're gonna have to get the gun. That's what you do with horses, right?
Oh my god.
Take me to her at once.
Celestia flared out her wings as if to take flight to find the poor child.
I will help however I can.
The pony grabbed Celestia's hoof in one of his own and began pulling her in the opposite direction.
Thank you. She's this way. Chocolate. I always hated it.
The crullers forgotten, Celestia followed the pony for a few blocks. Each second that passed caused the stallion to fidget more visibly, and Celestia even thought she heard him sob once or twice. A broken leg was no small injury, and the child was surely in a lot of pain. The stallion stopped in front of an alleyway and pointed down it.
She's this way. Hurry.
Okay, you're stupid if you're following this stranger, Celestia. Come on.
Well, Celestia is kind of an idiot.
Okay, yeah, I get it. She's like the royal who's locked in there all day. She doesn't understand these manipulation tactics and whatnot.
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
Celestia nodded and followed the pony down the alley. As she walked down, she was surprised to see that the alley was rather short and there didn't seem to be any pony down it. She frowned at the stallion.
Are you sure that this is the correct alleyway?
The stallion chuckled.
Yes, I'm quite sure.
Celestia's eyes widened. The pony's voice held none of the initial weakness. It instead had a far more malice behind it. She gasped when it hit her. She had been tricked. It was a revelation that she had discovered far too late.
It was a ruse?
I've been bamboozled! Suddenly, she felt a magical glow encase both of her and her saddlebags, preventing her escape and allowing whatever thugs had snuck up behind her to look through her saddlebags at will. Nice one, a mare behind her giggled. It's wonderful how gullible these kind ponies are.
Yeah,
said the voice of a second mare. Oh, there's a friggin' gang of mares around here.
Yeah, oof.
All right, you want to do this, mare?
Yeah, they really...
The mare gasped when she pulled Celestia's rather considerable coin purse out of her saddlebag.
Colts, I think we have a noble on our hooves.
Celestia opened her mouth to respond, but was cut off by the voice of a second stallion.
Lady, I think you're coming with us.
Celestia turned around and saw 2 mares and an additional stallion, all unicorns grinning widely behind her. Jesus.
It's a whole family of buggers.
One of the stallions had his horn ignited, and Celestia figured that he was the one trapping her wings. She raised an eyebrow at them.
And why do you think that?
A noble like yourself would fetch a fine ransom, don't you think? The mare tapped her hoof on the ground and giggled. Oh yes, your coin purse is going to be fool's play. Celestia opened her mouth to retort that she could crush them all in an instant, but a thought crossed her mind. A wonderfully mischievous thought. She had... Oh my god, what are you thinking, Celestia? Get out of there! Celestia's kinky.
Jesus. That wasn't what I was thinking, but...
She had been looking for excitement, a break from the monotony of her life. Being kidnapped by muggers certainly counted.
Did I miss the porn tag?
I thought this was going to be like Celestia gets mugged and is traumatized. No, it's Celestia who wants to get mugged.
Whee!
And it would be absolutely hilarious to see Luna's reaction to the situation. It wasn't as if these muggers could hurt her anyway. She could still escape if she felt that the situation got out of hoof. Not that she suspected it would. Oh. She twisted her face into her best impression of a frightened pony and backed away.
No, please don't.
She held her hoof out to forestall their advances.
I'll get you as much money as you like.
It seems like I don't know her character, but this seems incredibly out of character.
Who knows?
Turns out she has a different side.
The ponies in front of her just laughed at her.
Oh, you know I will. I know you will. Other way around,
said the second mare.
But I'm afraid that you'll be temporarily disposed while you get us your money.
Before Celestia could respond again, she felt something akin to being struck with a pillow in the back of her head.
Oh, right. They're trying to knock me out. Yeah, I've decided that we should count when they're in the head as them talking.
Oh, yeah.
With that knowledge, she dramatically rolled her eyes and collapsed onto the ground. The ponies above her laughed at her once more. She barely managed to hold back a laugh of her own as she felt herself being lifted into the backs of one of the stallions.
This will be interesting.
Princess Celestia Gets Mugged, Chapter 2. Kidnapped.
Did we ever mention it was by Brony Writer?
I've heard that name before. I wonder what else he's done.
Wasn't sure. I want to give credit.
To Celestia's surprise, the journey to wherever the muggers were using as a hideout was rather short. By her count, it was only a few minutes before she felt a rush of cool air wash over her as they entered an air-conditioned building. Of course, it wasn't all good, as the building that they entered had a distinctly musky smell. Something that her royal nose was admittedly not used to. About a minute or so after they entered the building, Princess Celestia felt herself being lifted off the stallion's back and placed down on a chair. She instantly felt thick ropes wrapping around her body, binding her to the chair, and she was thankful that necessity had dictated that she be stoic when faced with stressful situations. If she hadn't been trained as such, she would have burst out laughing right then and there.
Oh, Celestia, you're biting off more than you can chew.
When her kidnappers had finished tying her up, she figured that now was as good a time or as any to wake up. Slowly, she opened her eyes and let out a groggy groan of mockery.
And that wasn't even because of the story. He was just doing that.
As her eyes slowly opened, she was able to gauge her surroundings for the first time. The space was only lit with a singular lamp. The room itself looked to be a little more than a small apartment, as there were only a few run-down beds and a minuscule table next to a tiny kitchenette in the room.
See, this is her learning what life is outside of the castle, and she's going to be like, okay, I need to take care of these people down in the slums in my land. I hope.
Very cramped conditions for her 4 kidnappers. In that moment, she felt a tiny pity for the muggers. Clearly, this was the reason they had been drawn to crime, despite Celestia's best efforts to combat poverty. See?
Well,
I'm being
time
right.
to fully wake up.
She opened her eyes and let out a dramatic gasp, struggling weakly against her bonds.
Please let me go. I told you that I was going to get you all the money you wanted. She's a great actor.
The stallion who led her to the alley guffawed at her and shook his head.
And we told you that we'd let you go once we got some ransom money from whatever family you belonged to.
From Luna.
The stallion's smile slowly faded, and he uneasily scratched the back of his neck. Which family would that be again? Celestia sighed dramatically and hung her head.
It doesn't matter. They wouldn't pay my ransom, even if you only asked them for 1 bit.
The muggers exchanged confused glances.
What is that voice you're putting on, Your Majesty?
Wait, what's one of the mayors?
What do you mean?
One of the mayors asked. Celestia sniffed, and she would have wiped her tears with a wing. Were she not secured to the chair?
Oh, it is positively dreadful. My father is a very cruel stallion who came to resent me after my mother died giving birth to me. My stepmother hates me just as much, if not more than my father does. She makes me clean our mansion every day.
The lead stallion cleared his throat and put a hoof on Celestia's shoulder.
Well, look, kid, I'm not sure it's not that.
But it is.
Celestia wailed.
Do you know how mortified my unicorn father was when he found out that he had produced a Pegasus? My family has been unicorns for ages, and I broke that streak by having wings instead of a horn. Oh, it can't be so bad.
The other mayor assured her.
I mean, you get to fly, don't you?
Celestia shook her head.
No. Father keeps me locked in my room all day. I'm only allowed out to clean and eat out of a dog dish for the amusement of our guests.
The muggers stared at her in a stunned silence for a moment. The only sound in the apartment was that of Celestia's fake sobs. Until one of the muggers worked up the courage to speak.
You're messing with us, aren't you?
Celestia sniffed and raised her head.
Sniffle. Huh?
Yeah. Oh, turns out that wasn't the first mayor saying the first thing. Yeah,
Said the first mayor.
you had me until the dog dish pot.
Seriously, I think Celestia or some authority would know if that happened, particularly if your father entertains guests frequently.
The first stallion agreed. Celestia raised an eyebrow in surprise. Maybe they weren't as dumb as she had originally thought. She
Whoops.
rolled her eyes and huffed.
Jeez, he is so bad.
Well, it was worth a shot, wasn't it? I mean, you all just kidnapped me.
The second stallion shrugged.
I suppose so, but the fact remains that you got carried away.
I mean, dog dish?
The first stallion snorted.
How dumb do you think we are?
Pretty dumb.
Celestia admitted.
So mean.
They're muggers!
Yeah, but I mean, if this is how she talks to the muggers, imagine how she talks to normal citizens who don't have her kidnapped. I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're not saying anything good, that's for sure.
The lead stallion rolled his eyes and shook his head.
Well, that doesn't really matter right now. What matters is where you actually come from. We need to know who to send the ransom note to.
Celestia opened her mouth to respond, but was cut off when a roll of parchment popped into existence above them. It landed at her hooves and bounced on the floor. She groaned inwardly.
Now, Twilight, you had to send me a letter now.
Oh, Twilight.
Bless her heart. The second mayor cocked her head in interest at the
Oh?
sight of the scroll, and she fired up her horn, taking the scroll in her magical grasp to unroll it. The second stallion frowned and looked over her shoulder.
What is it?
The mayor unrolled the scroll and began scanning the parchment.
Dear Princess Celestia, today I learned that you can't always get what you want. But if you try some time, you just might... No, that's not what it says. You can't always get what you want, even when you think you really need something. Pinkie Pie taught me that sometimes it is better to make sacrifices for your friends, even to the detriment of yourself. I must say that I have grown from this experience and look forward to sending you more friendship letters. Your faithful student, Twilight Sparkle.
I love the idea that in the middle of just like a normal episode that's showing from Twilight's view, this is what's happening to Celestia.
Yeah.
The mayor looked up from the parchment with a look of utter bewilderment on her face.
This some kind of joke or something? Why were you sent a letter addressed to the princess?
For the first time that day, Celestia felt unease creep up in her stomach. They had already proved that they weren't complete morons, and if they somehow figured out that she was the princess, then she would have to cut it off now. If that happened, then Luna would never let her go out again without a tail from the guards. That would be boring. Make no mistake about it.
My
No,
brothers.
she really wanted to see where this would go. She sighed and hung her head again.
Okay. Do you want to know the truth?
Her kidnappers nodded.
I'm a liaison between the princess's protege and the princess herself. I live and work at the castle.
Her kidnappers simultaneously gasped, and the lead stallion shook his head in disbelief.
I can't believe it! We managed to get one of Celestia's personal poisonal servants.
He turned to his fellows and grinned. To his fellows, okay.
Yeah, you fellows.
I don't know. There are some mayors there, and I don't think they'd appreciate being called fellows, you know? Like, that's more of a male title.
I don't know. I'm fine with being called Chick, but whatever.
Okay, chick.
Okay, you're not allowed to call me that.
I was thinking a 500,000 bit ransom.
Oh, bits, what they, use as money?
Yep.
Isn't that like what a horse puts in their mouth, though?
I don't fucking know. I'm allergic to horses. Why would I know this?
You're allergic to horses and you're a brony?
Uh-huh.
This is kind of ironic.
I was brony before I learned that I was allergic to horses. Otherwise, I never would have watched the show. Believe me.
Oh, I would have loved to see that.
But what do you say we triple that?
His fellows eagerly nodded in agreement, and he turned his attention back to Celestia.
You're not going anywhere for a while, Toots.
All right, I added the toots part. It just sounded like it fit.
A small grin played at Celestia's lips, despite her biting her tongue to prevent it.
Oh, good.
All right, that was the first 2 chapters of Princess Celestia Gets Mugged.
I am loving this, darling.
Oh, I love it. This is definitely my favorite so far.
This is great.
I thought it was going to be like some dramatic thing about her being traumatized from getting mugged or something. Turns out this is her weird idea of a day out. And it's hilarious.
Shows you what reading the tags on Fanfiction gets you. He didn't read them, but I read
the story
them.
to me, and we started reading it today, so okay.
I actually sent it to you a while ago. You
Did you?
never clicked on it.
Well, we were probably reading another one at that point.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was the first time we did this, but still. Anyways,
I'm
next
never
time
at fault, and I thought you'd know that.
Yeah, sure. Next time we do this fic, which, I don't know, it might not be for a while. We'll see. We'll probably be reading, 3 chapters, so that's exciting. I'm excited to do chaptered stuff now.
24-hour live stream of reading Princess Celestia Gets Mugged in one go.
Anyways, I got an interesting story for next time.
Ooh, don't spoil it for the fans.
Don't you worry, fans. I'm not going to spoil it for you boo-boos. Thank you all for listening to this amazing podcast. I'm your host, Ross Pitt, Shark Hunter.
And I'm your co-host, Wizzy.
Well, co-host, prisoner, whatever.
I prefer the title Hostage.
Okay, hostage is good. We'll see you next time as I take this boy into the bowels of hell. I'm trying out new stuff for the ending. What do you think?
Not too excited about it.
Oh, well, we'll workshop it.